So now we are open for questions. If anyone has any comments or any queries, please feel free to unmute yourself and then you can make your point or ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Chidambar. Yes.
Prabhu, you said soul is much more powerful than body. Can you describe
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So in the second chapter of the Gita, Lord Krishna makes a comparative study, an analytical study uh, between the body and the mind. He compares. So he says, the soul has no birth, no death. The soul is not moistened by water. It is not uh, cut by any weapons. It is not withered by the wind. It is not burned by the fire. So the soul is completely anti-matter. Our body is made up of matter. Therefore, it is affected by the fire, the water, the wind, and all of these things. So the body is temporary, subject to changes, subject to creation and destruction, whereas the soul is not subject to any changes. The soul is kutastha, it is fixed, it is unchangeable, immutable, and it is free from the changes of disease, old age, and death and birth. So this itself, and this is our real identity. Our real identity is not the body which is subject to all these changes, but our real identity is the soul, which is beyond these changes. So realizing this itself is so empowering. Even theoretically understanding. Oh, suppose somebody goes through, we experience death of family members. Now, without the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, if we try to see the incident, we become very, very emotional. We become very disturbed, right? Especially if that person who passed away is our near and dear one. Oh, this person has gone away, right? But when you apply the Gita knowledge, the Gita wisdom, so then we see that actually the person, the body, he has left the body and he has gone to the next body because he is deathless. The person who was living in this body all these days, he is deathless. He is the soul. He's not the body. Body anyway has to undergo transformation, anyway has to die one day. So let me not get disturbed. Of course, it doesn't mean we become stone hearted, but I'm saying this wisdom can help us uh, become free from the suffering that is caused because of ignorance about ourselves and about others. So that's a practical application. So, in this way, the soul is much more powerful than the body and mind, which all have limitations. Realizing that I am that soul is itself called a self empowerment. Hope that answers your question, Vidambar. Okay, somebody had posted a question on the comments. Kaushik, could you please read? Kaushik or Kautuk? Anybody?
Yeah. So, so Kausik Kumar asked, Hare Krishna
Hmm.
Prabhu, does
Yeah.
spiritual world also changes with time?
Hmm. Actually, spiritual world, another name for that word, spiritual world is anti-material world. We are living in the Bhagavad Gita says there are two worlds. We are living in the material world. Material world is influenced by factors like time, and whereas the anti-material world, it is called Sanatana Dhamma. It is the eternal abode. It is not subject to the time. What does time do? Time actually deteriorates everything. That's the nature of time. You purchase a fresh apple and keep it in front of you. After 24 hours, after 36 hours, you observe it. What will happen to that apple? It is no more fresh. It deteriorates in its quality. This is the effect of kala, time. That means in the material world, everything is created and it lives for some time. It is present for some time, and then it deteriorates and finally it is destroyed. These effects are brought about by the influence of kala or time. But Lord Krishna says there is another world beyond this changing material world, which is called spiritual world or anti-material world, where there is no effect of time factor, where everything is eternal. And since we are also not this material body, but we are spirit souls, we actually belong to that Sanatana Dhamma or spiritual world. So, therefore, the answer to your question is no, there is no effect of Kala or time in the spiritual world. Is there any other question posted by anybody?
Yes, Prabhu. Uh,
Yes. Please read.
Tala Raghu Ram Reddy asked, how can I realize I am soul? Is there any
Hmm.
experiments or any method for our mind to know that I am soul?
Yeah.
How do I realize with material senses? What are those other senses? I realize that I am soul without having transcendental senses.
Okay. Rama Reddy, very intelligent question, very good question. Yes, how do I understand that I am not my body, but I am soul? Now, how do we understand this? Spiritual knowledge is not a matter of experimentation, but it is a matter of personal experience. Okay. So, spiritual knowledge is called Pratyaksha Avagamam. Pratyaksha Avagamam means it has to be personally experienced and realized. Now, in material science, we perform experiments, right? Now, what kind of experiment? The specimen on which we are performing experiment is external to us. We do some, uh, we carry out some experiments on the specimen and we study the changes in that specimen as an external observer. That is called an experiment. And we note down the changes happening in that specimen and we arrive at some conclusions. We come up with some theories and postulates, isn't it? Now, the only difference here in the spiritual domain, what do we do? We ourselves are the specimen, right? We are not doing experiment on something external. We are doing an experiment on ourselves with guidance, with wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. We subject ourselves to a certain condition, a certain practice, and then we can realize what is the change happening in us because of this spiritual knowledge and practical application. For example, simple, like you asked, how do we realize that I'm not the body, I'm soul? Number one, learn the theory from Bhagavad Gita that I am not the body, I'm soul. Why? All those things just now we explained in the session. Number two, theoretical knowledge is not sufficient. You have to practically apply it also. Do an activity every day for a certain period of time which will help you realize that you are not the body, your soul. And such activities are called spiritual practices, also known as sadhana. Sadhana. What is sadhana? Sadhana means a process which we go through to attain the sadhya. Sadhya means the purpose. What is the purpose of life? According to Bhagavad Gita, as I mentioned already, self realization. So, those activities which help us when we apply ourselves to those processes, which will help us to realize ourselves, they are called sadhana. So, one simple sadhana that we have been telling from yesterday is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it appears that it is any other ordinary sound, but the scriptures inform us and the professors of spiritual science called the acharyas, they also inform us that this is not ordinary sound, it is completely spiritual sound. So when you subject yourself, when you expose yourself to the spiritual sound of this Maha Mantra and chant and hear, by chanting and hearing, slowly the ignorance covering the soul will fade away, and you realize slowly, gradually, that yes, I'm not the body, I'm soul. So this is the primary sadhana recommended for everybody in this age of Kali Yuga. In the olden yugas, other yugas, there were much more difficult processes of sadhana recommended, like going to the forest and doing tapasya or performance of yajnas and all of those things. But those are all very impractical for today's life. Therefore, the scriptures tell us that you don't have to do all of those. You can simply chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and this mantra, Manatrayate iti mantraha. What does the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra do us? What does it do to us? It actually uh, frees us from ignorance and the clutches of illusion and brings us to the spiritual consciousness. And that's called self realization. So, there are such sadhanas which are recommended in the scriptures, of which chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is most recommended. And so, two things, Shravanam and Kirtanam. You hear about spiritual knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, from those who are already practicing it, that's called Shravanam. And then Kirtanam is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. These two are the primary sadhana methods by which you can realize that I am not the body, I am soul. But of course, it takes time, and how fast you can attain this depends on your intensity and sincerity. But it's a time tested process, it is a bona fide process. And if we are little sincere and serious about it, you can quickly attain self realization simply by the process of hearing and chanting. Hope that answers your question. Thank you, Ram Reddy. Thank you. So there was one more question. Could you please read,
Yes.
Kautuk?
Yes. So Satish Sukla asks two questions, two related questions. He asks Hare Krishna Prabhuji, why Lord Krishna selected Kurukshetra for delivery of Bhagavad Gita, whereas Arjun was already with him many times? Then why Krishna could not identify this weakness of Arjuna before coming to Kurukshetra? Second relevant part. Also, same Bhagavad Gita changed Arjuna, but why it could not change Dhritarashtra, whereas he had also learned the same through Sanjaya, still he could not be changed.
Very nice questions. What is the name of the student who has asked this?
Satish Sukla.
Satish. Very nice questions, Satish. Good. I'll very answer very briefly because of paucity of time. Probably we can meet personally and discuss more about it. So the first question is why Krishna chose to speak the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Why he could not speak this earlier to Arjuna? Now, actually, our the spiritual professors called acharyas, who are all self-realized souls, they inform us that Arjuna, being an associate or a companion of the Supreme Lord Krishna, could not have gone through ignorance because he's already with Krishna. How can somebody who is with Krishna, who is the source of supreme knowledge, how can he himself be subjected to ignorance and illusion? So the acharyas tell us that it was a temporary situation created by Lord Krishna to put Arjuna into illusion, so that Arjuna puts forward the relevant questions. And through Arjuna, Krishna can speak the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to all of us. That's the answer. So, knowledge of it's not that Arjuna was actually in ignorance, right? He was apparently put into that circumstance by the will of the Supreme Lord, so that through him, the entire humanity can get Bhagavad Gita wisdom. So that is the first answer to the first question. Of course, more details are there. We can personally discuss. Now, the second question is just like Arjuna heard Bhagavad Gita through Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra also heard Bhagavad Gita. There was transformation in Arjuna, but there were no such transformations observed in Dhritarashtra. Why? It's a very intelligent question, very good question. See, Bhagavad Gita book has been existing in human society for thousands of years. Okay, and even today, millions of copies are available, and books are available. In fact, many people also say that I have a Bhagavad Gita at home. But are you, just by having the book Bhagavad Gita, are you actually, have you realized what the content of Bhagavad Gita is? That means there is a particular qualification needed to access this knowledge. In the ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that it is called Guhyam. It is a confidential knowledge. When do you say something to be confidential? When you need a qualification to access it, right? So just like suppose you have a lot of money in your bank account, uh, but it is password protected, isn't it? It is PIN number protected, and you won't share this with anybody and everybody. Everybody knows that you have money in your account, but everybody does not have access to it. Only you have access, or to the person whom you give access, whom you give PIN number, he or she will get access, provided that person is very trustworthy and that person is very dear to you. In the same way, Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there are three qualifications required to understand, apply, and realize this spiritual wisdom. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetat uttamam. Krishna says, this is Uttama Rahasya. It is most confidential, most password protected knowledge that I'm revealing to you, O Arjuna. And you have the qualification to understand it properly because you are my bhakta, you are my devotee. And on top of that, you are my dear friend. These are the two qualifications he mentions in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And in the ninth chapter, Krishna reveals one more important qualification, which makes us a fit candidate to understand this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Anasuyave, being non-envious of Krishna, being non-envious of God. So these three qualifications were present in Arjuna, but they were absent in Dhritarashtra, right? So that is why he was not able to understand this knowledge, even though he also heard it, right? So when we hear Bhagavad Gita, at least theoretically, we must accept that Krishna is not an ordinary person. He is the Supreme Lord, and he is mercifully revealing this knowledge for my benefit. At least theoretically, one must have faith. Then only one can actually access, appreciate, and understand this knowledge. Otherwise, it's going to be a mysterious knowledge. It's a big mystery. So, Arjuna was a devotee of Krishna. Arjuna was a friend. That means he had an active relationship with Krishna. And Arjuna was not envious of Krishna. And because of these three qualities of Arjuna, he was able to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita correctly. But Dhritarashtra, he did not have, in fact, he was envious of Krishna. He was not considering Krishna to be his well wisher. He was thinking that Krishna has taken the side of my enemies, the Pandavas. So he was having a wrong understanding about Krishna. Therefore, whatever Krishna said, he only misunderstood. Because well, I'll take 2 more minutes to elaborate this. There are statements in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is saying that, for example, he says, I am the supreme source of everything that exists. He says in the 10th chapter, shloka number 8. In the 7th chapter, shloka number 7, he says, there is no truth superior to me. Everything is resting upon me, just like pearls are resting on the thread in a necklace. Now, when a person who is envious of Krishna, who has no proper understanding of Krishna, when he comes across these statements made by Krishna, that person may think that Oh, see how Krishna is boasting about himself. Oh, Krishna is simply glorifying himself. Oh, this book is actually, I thought this will give me spiritual wisdom, but here is one person who is so arrogantly talking great about himself. This is exactly how Dhritarashtra decoded or understood whatever he heard from Bhagavad Gita through Sanjaya. And that is why he was not able to understand Bhagavad Gita. So hope that answers your question. Okay,
Uh,
so yes, somebody. Yes, Kautuk.
yeah, I think that's all the questions.
हरे
Yes,
कृष्ण प्रभु.
yes.
घर आ चुका है.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Satish Shukla. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Yes,
प्रभु.
who's this? Hare
this is
Krishna.
Raj Sekar.
I am Rashekar Prabhu.
Yes, Rajshekar.
If you have time, you explain Prabhu. Otherwise, we can talk it later. The question is that you told that you have right on the duty you are supposed to do, right? Now the question is, uh, even the thoughts also Krishna only gives. Even the our all sensory organs are also controlled by Krishna. Now, where is our part to claim that this is my right to do? Because everything is done by Krishna. Now, the overall question is the point is that where is the point that differentiates this is Krishna's and this is mine?
Okay. So I'll give a very short answer to this question. So that is why we must understand. Uh, See here, when Arjuna was told by Krishna, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty. So he talked about the prescribed duty. Who is prescribing the duty of fighting to Arjuna? It is Krishna. Not that Arjuna whimsically has assumed some duty for himself and he's thinking this is my prescribed duty. When we talk about prescribed duty, it means it has to be given to us by a higher authority, by Krishna, who is the supreme authority, right? Such a work can be called as a prescribed duty. And since it is prescribed to me by the authority, I have right to put my endeavors in that direction, right? Suppose if there is a thief and he thinks that my duty is to steal, and I'll put all my sincere efforts and Krishna should give the results. No, this is wrong application because stealing is not a prescribed duty. Krishna has not prescribed you this duty to go and steal others' property. Now, this you are doing because of your own uncontrolled mind. So that means there are two kinds of duties. One duty which we assume whimsically because of our uncontrolled mind and desires. That's not called prescribed duty, that's assumed duty, right? Now, second kind of duty is that which is in line with Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Then it is called prescribed duty. So, in prescribed duty, you should be sincere, you should depend on Krishna. So, your question is, what is that we can do? What is that? How do we claim right? No, we are not claiming right. Here, when Krishna says you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, that means since it is an authorized work given to you by me, you have you have to put your 100% efforts and depend on the results. Depend on me for the results. That's the meaning of having right to perform your prescribed duty. That means before understanding what is your duty, you must listen to Krishna's instructions of Bhagavad Gita. We cannot whimsically accept, oh, because I like this work, I will do. Oh, because I don't like this work, I will not do. Right? Arjuna was also thinking like that. No, if you read the first chapter, oh, I don't want to fight because it involves so many. It gives me emotional pain fighting against my own relatives. I will run away. I don't want to work. I don't want to fight. That means he was falsely renouncing, wrongly renouncing. So, anyway, we will talk more about this in the coming chapters, especially third chapter. We are going to talk third chapter, fourth chapter about this principles of karma, how to work, how to understand what is my prescribed duty. We will discuss more about it. But very good question. Hope I hope I was able to clear at least some basic point what you asked, Rashik.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll discuss more about it. So thank you very much. So it was a very almost half an hour of Q&A we had. That shows a lot of inquisitive minds are attending our Gita chapter-wise summary series, and I hope you are enjoying. We just began the Bhagavad Gita today. Yesterday was more or less like an introduction. Today we will talk. I mean, we started the entered the core topics of Bhagavad Gita. We have many more interesting life transforming principles that Krishna discloses in the coming chapters. So, requesting you to please come and attend these sessions. And of course, it's just a half an hour session. Uh, Q&A is optional. If you are busy, if you are having other things to catch up with, you need not have to be present for the entire Q&A. And so I request you one thing, last thing, that I just want to request everyone who is attending now, please tell about this online session to your friends and acquaintances in the campus, and let them also, if they're interested, please introduce them to these sessions so that they also get this wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you all, the core members of the Trans Dimension Students Club who have worked very hard to organize this online session. You're doing an excellent service uh, to all the students in the campus by helping them get exposed to this knowledge. Over to Kautuk. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a wonderful session and like the interactive Q&A. So, and I hope everyone has gained some valuable insights from the chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, got the questions answered, got the doubts cleared. As part of this Gita reading session, tomorrow we'll discuss about Karma Yoga, the art of working from chapter 3. So please join us tomorrow at 8:45 p.m. And thank you all for joining us today. Please do continue this journey. Hare Krishna.